Good afternoon, everybody. This is Russell Dennis with the Nonprofit Culture of Success for April 27th, 2017. And today we have Cowboy Ted here, who is the founder and CEO of the Cowboy Ted Foundation. And the Cowboy Ted Foundation encourages youngsters to choose healthy lifestyles for themselves, including the choice to refuse tobacco products. Ted has made all sorts of products. He's reached nearly 300,000 kids in his travels and has a complete suite of video and online courses that have been designed for schools, for kids to learn more about fitness. And there's a long list of things that Ted does. He has healthy choice school assembly programs. The Cowboy Ted show comes on. He has 52 weekly TEDs for kids on video. He does all sorts of printed materials and audio materials, online reading programs. He's got after-school cowboy fitness programs, cowboy day camp, summer reading programs, and all sorts of free resources and learning aids for kids, parents, and teachers. Ted is very well connected with are you in Salt Lake? I know you're in Utah somewhere.
Yes, I'm in the Salt Lake area.
Okay. And so he works very closely with the Natural Resources Department there in Utah, and with several news outlets, ABC and CW. He's got Parks and Recreation are supporters, as is the health department in Utah. And he's got programs that we'll talk a little bit more about, but he's looking to expand. So I've done all the talking. I just it's just funny. One of the things, I know you're in Utah. I don't think of Utah as sort of like a Wild West type of state. I'm in Colorado, and I think more of Wyoming or something like that for rodeo. So how did you come to be known as Cowboy Ted?
Well, it kind of happened by accident. Yeah. I was actually, we're about an hour and a half from Evanston, Wyoming. And I was actually in radio and hosted a weekly rodeo report on radio, and traveled all over the western states, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, some into Montana, and then I covered the National Finals Rodeo and the Pro Bull Riders Finals for an iHeart radio station network, and had two different stations. But I was living the cowboy life for sure. I was chewing tobacco and drinking beer, and one of the salespeople came to me and said, "Hey, Ted, we've got a new sponsor called The Truth About Tobacco, and they would like you to be their spokesperson." I said, "Well, then I'd be a liar, because I'm still using tobacco." And the week before, I had gotten an offer from Rooster to be their spokesperson, and actually the Corona Coors distributor in Evanston had asked me if I would sign a deal with them. And I said, you know what, who doesn't want to be a role model and give up tobacco and give up that wild lifestyle? So I opted out of the higher paying contracts and opted into going to the schools and giving up tobacco. And I actually had to get rid of all of my Wranglers, because, you know, when you chew, you put the can in your back pocket, and it actually makes a mark in your pants. So the kids were like, wait a minute, you still have the chew mark in your pants. I got rid of all my pants, started doing the stuff. And then some of the schools asked me if I would start a little club while I was doing assemblies. And I said, sure. One of the radio station people went with me to one of our school assemblies and heard the kids call me Cowboy Ted, and that's how I got the name. I had just used my real name, Ted Hallisey, all the time, and then the kids just started calling me Cowboy Ted, and now I can't live it down. If I make a phone call and I say, "This is Ted Hallisey," they say, "Who?" "Oh, Cowboy Ted." "Yeah, go ahead, cowboy." So I'm stuck.
Well, your customers actually picked your brand for you. That probably saved you a whole lot of research.
Yeah, it did. And then I had a friend who drew a little picture of me that you'll see on some of my logos. And So if I shave up goatee, the kids are like, "That's not you, Cowboy Ted. You have to have a goatee." So yeah, my logo has kind of identified me now.
Yeah. So when you were covering all of those events, did you ever ride or compete in rodeos yourself before you started covering them on TV and radio?
I did. I rode enough to break my arm and get a promotional ride. I've been on maybe, I think, 5 bulls total in my life. Most of them were radio stunts. And I never had the intention of lasting for 8 seconds because I figured out early on, it's like, you know what, when I announce rodeos or I announce on the radio, it hurts a lot less than getting on the actual bull. And I don't know if you can see it here, but this is a promo sheet I use for kids. And this is me on the bull actually. And that's the one that I actually broke my arm on. So we used that as an autograph sheet for kids. And I stayed on long enough to get a photo, and that was about it.
Well, yeah, that adds to the authenticity here. So.
Yeah, but you mentioned Utah. It's not known as a rodeo state, but actually there have been several national champions from the state of Utah.
Okay.
My friend Louis Field, who passed away last year from cancer, was a 5-time all-around world champion and lived in Utah. Bluestone was a 2-time bull riding champion. And then there have been a couple others. So there's quite a few champions, national champions. And then high school rodeo, Utah actually won the high school national rodeo championship about 12 times over the last 20 years. So they're a dominant rodeo program. But yeah, you don't think about rodeo when you think about Utah.
Okay. So have you actually sponsored some of those programs or covered some of those for those schools, or did you stick mainly with the professional circuit as far as covering the events?
I actually, when I worked in radio and hosted my rodeo report, I covered rodeo from all the way up. So I would cover junior rodeos for kids, Little Britches Rodeo, which it actually centers itself out of Colorado. And I would cover high school, college, and mainly the pro rodeos because that's where the people want to go and watch it. But did a lot of coverage for the high school and college rodeo and just introducing people to the sport of rodeo. And then also using that theme when I go into schools to talk to kids. Our 8 rules for good health actually are based on the 8 seconds that you need a ride for a qualified ride on a bronco or a bull. So we use the cowboy lifestyle to get the kids' attention. And I'm pretty sure I'm being authentic because I've covered it and been on a few bulls. And then we introduce our mainstream health concepts, which are universal for everybody. I actually have a Master of Education degree in Health, PE, and Recreation. So we use the cowboy stuff to get their attention, to have some fun with it. But we go into full mainstream health ideas and have those 8 concepts. And if I can, I'll tell you the 8. Is that okay?
That's fine. Love to hear
All
that.
right. Our 8 steps for good health are: 1, respect parents and others; 2, lead a healthy lifestyle; 3, work hard in school; 4, be nice to others; 5, be kind to animals, and that's a big one in rodeo; 6, set goals for yourself; 7, obviously no drugs, tobacco, or alcohol. And then our final rule is to do one nice thing for another person every day, which gives you emotional and mental health. So with our 8 concepts, we actually cover both physical, mental, and emotional health. And when we do our stick horse rodeo and we do activities, we actually cover gross motor skills for muscles, fine motor skills, and some agility testing.
Well, that's fantastic. And, one of the signature things where you had a live events are those camps that you run. So tell me a little bit about what one of the Cowboy Ted camps look like and how many kids you have there and how that all works.
Yeah, we run our summer camps and weekend camps where we actually spend a couple hours and we go out with kids. I usually do my introductory assembly where we talk about the 8 concepts for healthy kids. We have the teachers or the group leaders. We teach them how to rope our little bull that we bring in. Not a real bull, but it's a metal frame bull with a roping head. And then after we go through the full assembly, I usually will read a book with them, and then we actually do a stick horse rodeo activity where they actually get on stick horses and they'll run a pole deal. We'll teach them how to rope. They'll run some barrels. They'll throw horseshoes. They'll do a rope toss. And it's a 45-minute activity, and then we rotate around. And then we actually have some other fitness activities that we do with them during the camps or during our after-school programs or our school assemblies, where we actually, one of the activities is we cut the bottom off of a milk container, and then we use a ping pong ball, and the kids play catch with the milk cartons, and it's kind of like ranch baseball, I guess. We just kind of use what we've got and show them how to do that, and that's why I say we're using our aim and accuracy, where we've got our fine motor skills, our gross motor skills, and we're introducing them to some cowboy philosophy.
That's important, all of this outdoor activity. I mean, that's something that I was used to when I was little. You don't see so much of it, what with technology. And so a lot of kids are used to using the technology. A lot of younger parents are used to using it. And so, you know, tearing them away from that technology or actually finding a way to marry that with more physical activity. It seems like a strategy that you've managed to pull off quite well. How did you do it?
Well, I just kind of like you, we've talked about it off camera, that we've kind of had to adapt to the environment we live in, and it's become an electronic world. All of the kids now are getting their information through their tablets and through their smartphones. So we developed a subscriber-based TV network that's an online network. And we have, again, I stay with that theme of 8. We have 8 different topics that we do 3 to 5 minute videos for kids. So they can watch it on their handheld device, and then we say, okay, now we're done. Get outside and do it. Don't watch another one. We're not asking you to binge watch. We've seen that happen on some of these shows where they binge watch. It's like, you can watch another one later. We just introduce this. It's fresh in your mind. Get outside, get active, get healthy. Take the device out if you need to watch it again for a demonstration. But we have 8 different topics, including classroom fitness. We have living off the land, where kids live sustainable so they don't have to rely on grocery stores so much. And for most people, including probably yourself and even me at this point, the reality of it is if we have a backyard, we're probably not going to have a steer or a pig or something that we can raise for meat. But sustainable living, if we have a couple chickens, and most of them are allowed in ordinances now where you can have a few chickens in your backyard, you can raise the eggs and then also have a garden. And if things really get bad, you can survive on eggs and vegetables. So we're trying to teach them real life skills, show them a little bit of cowboy stuff, but also make it realistic for the lifestyle that they're living. So if they're living in an apartment in Chicago, you can still do a little garden plot. They even have some of these garden things now that you can hang on your wall, that you can raise your own herbs and tomatoes and do different things. So with our 8 themes that we're doing through our videos, we're kind of catering to them. We come to the delivery mechanism that they use and that they're familiar with. We keep it real short, 3 to 5 minutes, so we keep their attention. And then we keep 8 different topics so that we're not just nesting to certain people. So we have a lot of different things. I've even got a theme where we talk about cowboys and Indians. So for the little kids, they really like it. So we'll give them some stories about stuff that we do as cowboys on a real working ranch. But then I'm also Native American to a small degree. And I will host tribal leaders from various American Indian tribes, and they will talk about their culture. Instead of me trying to pitch that over, I just host it, and then we have American Indians come in and talk about their culture and their traditions and some of the realities that got skewed a little bit when we put it into a textbook. Sometimes it's not all that accurate. So we want to dispel some of that, and sometimes we don't do it at the schools. We do that in people's homes. So if they want to choose to come in, then we also have a Wellness 101. And then I've just developed a new one that is Preschool Fun 101. So we're filming different activities that moms can do with their kids before they start school. They're always looking for little things to do. So some of them are cowboy, some of them are not cowboy. We have an activity for every day that kids and moms can do together on our Preschool Fun 101. And we tie that 101 in kind of like college classes. It's such and such 101. So our TV show for schools is Cowboy Ted 101. And then the one that we've designed for our subscription network for homes is just Cowboy Ted Show.
Awesome, yeah. So that's fantastic that you're able to weave in those cultural activities with the Native communities. I actually worked for one for almost 11 years myself up in northern Maine. And so there's a lot of opportunities there to spread culture. And so you use that background that you have for TV and radio to actually record things. So you record your live events and share some of those. Talk a little bit about the importance of video and how you managed to weave that into your model and how you leverage it to actually spread the word so that you're invited to come out and put on live events.
Yeah, that was the difficult part because I was always used to being behind the microphone and nobody could see me, so it was real easy. And then I started hosting live events, so it wasn't as hard. But when somebody put a camera in front of me and says, look right into this camera and talk to people, that was really difficult for me. So I got a lot of training from experts. And then the people that do the production side of my programs figured out my best style and then made sure that we're working with kids and actually doing demonstrations so that there are kids there. So I'm not just talking into the phone or the camera that we're using. We're actually making a qualified video production. And we know our audience is kids, so we don't have to put a ton of money into it. So as a nonprofit, we know that everybody wants to scrutinize how we utilize funds. So we're trying to stretch our dollars and make them go as far as we can. So actually, my 13-year-old son serves as my cameraman for most of our activities. We figured out how to get an iRig microphone, lapel microphone, and a tripod, and he just uses my smartphone, and we do a 3-minute video. We started a concept where, again, we know that kids need stuff fast, so we actually started a new concept that he helped me with that's called Fitness in a Minute. So within 60 seconds, we introduce a topic, I demonstrate it, I have a kid demonstrate it, and then we tell the kids to do it. So within 60 seconds, we can introduce a new topic to it, and as you and I have mentioned, kids want the delivery fast.
Well, those are very helpful because a lot of times you don't think that you have time to do things. We're in this go, go, go society, and a lot of parents, sometimes you have two working parents in the household, and there's not always a lot of time to do things together. But some of these activities that you put together can be something that they pull together before breakfast or very quickly in the evening before homework. So talk a little bit about how a family can actually apply this program when they're really strapped for time.
Yeah, we tried to do this based around my own family because I've got 2 small kids and I've got a busy schedule. So we used the research from a book called Spark that was written by John Rattay, and he's a medical doctor, and he introduced and did all this research that shows even 15 minutes of physical activity before you do something engages the brain in a different way. Okay. Being out in nature engages the brain in a different way, so it doesn't take a long time. All of our activities that we've designed are based to be done in about 15 to 30 minutes. And then on a Friday, we'll introduce an outdoor recreation activity for us, for our area. We'll say, hey, go out to a Utah State Park. You can get a state parks pass for $75 a year, or you can go in for admission for $8. So we're trying to get stuff that's very affordable for families and that you can do without a lot of equipment and that you can do in a relatively short time span. So like you said, if a family gets up and spends 15 minutes before they go off to school, the whole family can engage in this activity, and we encourage that because we all know that adults need to do some of these things to keep healthy too, but we have little things. So we might do things like I have an exercise where we do ABCs with your wrists. So you just do the whole ABCs with your wrists.
Okay.
And that's actually good for the tissue, the muscle, the tendons. It will help you not get carpal tunnel.
Okay.
And we want the kids to do it, but we also want mom and dad and grandma and grandpa to do it. So all of our things that we design, we encourage the kids to ask their parents and their grandparents to do some of these things with them. And they're not high impact where we're going to really put a stress on an older body.
That's perfect. I mean, with the family activity. So these are available in 2 places. And when you look at some of your audiences, I mean, a lot of kids, some kids aren't as fortunate as others, and they may not have the technology or the computers or access to the internet services and other things like that at home. That's particularly true on some Indian reservations. So it's remarkable how you make these things available both for at home and at school, so that when they go to school, they can actually participate in the programs.
Yeah, and as a nonprofit, I've had to design some different things where we're asking for other people's money to be able to fund some of these programs for some schools that don't have budgets. And like you said, for the Indian reservations and some of the populations that are really strapped for cash, they don't have a lot of money. So it's like, hey, if they'll cover my costs, I'll go in and do these at no cost for those schools. I just try to cover my expenses and keep my equipment going. So we put it at a very low level. But yeah, I'm personally, I want to touch the lives of 1 million kids. As you mentioned, I'm about between 250 and 300,000 kids, which I'm proud about, but there's a lot more work to do. And some people have said, well, now that you got the video, you don't have to go out anymore. I said, I actually enjoy going out, and that's where I get my passion fed. So I said, I want to be out on the reservations. I want to be in the inner city schools where a kid might have never seen a cowboy.
Yeah.
Cowboy just introduced stuff, and then we introduced mainstream health themes. So yeah, a big part of it, video allows us to go to other states and other countries at a relatively low cost. We've priced our subscription program at $8.88 a month for schools, which is, like you said, pennies. And for our home program, $4.44 a month for individuals and families. But then I'm also out seeking donations where we can offer waivers. So if somebody can't even afford $4.44 a month, we want to be able to provide this. I'm also providing our shorter videos on YouTube and on Facebook so that there is a no cost, that kids are still able to get exposed to all of our stuff regardless of the ability to pay.
That's remarkable, yeah. And so for the schools, the program can be found at www.cowboyted101.com. That's the school program. And it's www.cowboytedshow.com to bring it into your home. And these are all wonderful things. And so the Cowboy Ted show actually has segments like other programs.
Yes.
Somebody tunes in, what can they expect to see?
They will have our 8 different topics that are archived. So like I mentioned before, we'll have the Preschool Fun 101 that will be there. You can watch it whenever you want. It doesn't go away. Those will all be loaded into that one topic. We have our Wellness 101 topic that's in there. We have our Fitness in a Minute topic that is in there. Okay. So we're now loading all of those in so that each of the 8 topics have several different episodes and segments that appeal to you. And we just put a little 1-sentence description so you don't cursor through all of the videos to watch them. There's just a 1-sentence description under each of the videos. And if it's wrist ABCs that you want to do that day, search it quickly, hit the video, and you're done within 5 minutes.
Okay. Yes, well, less is more. When people are employing little bits, the little bits build on themselves, and that's what success is built on. Is these small steps, and So Ted, you were in broadcasting, and you had a pretty lucrative career, and you kind of shifted gears because you wanted to do something that mattered to you, and having these folks approach you about smoking really set something off. Tell us about sort of what guides you internally and what kind of things move you the most, and maybe a little bit about some of your influences as you've grown up and as you've grown older. Talk about some of those influences on your life and how they impacted your move to do this work.
Yeah, I've kind of learned a little bit, like I said, kind of connecting with the Native American spirit and some natural healing, understanding how your body works on vibration and frequency, the same as the earth has vibration and frequency, and that your mind can create your reality. If you have these positive thoughts and positive vibration, positive frequency, it actually goes to other people and thrives off of the earth and goes into the earth, and we can all share this activity. And that was the thing that motivates me. My passion is to share love and light, and whatever love and light means to individuals, to share love and light with everybody, but especially kids, and show them that by having fun, it actually makes them more healthy. I want to encourage them to protect the earth and to share love and light with other people, whatever they call love and light. It just kind of love your brother, all of us getting along in a peaceful world, kind of paying it forward on a constant basis. And hopefully some of my concepts will lead kids to do other concepts. With this video thing, it's like, I'm not hosting all of them. Eventually, we want to get to the point where we invite kids to make their own videos that fit some of our topics or that fit some current events that we're talking about for health or wellness or citizenship, and have them produce some of these videos, and we'll showcase them on our show and then give them some kind of reward. I don't want it to be pay for play necessarily, and the parents have told me we don't want our kids to necessarily be paid money for some of the service that they're doing, but we can get them a gift card or something like that that just shows appreciation for what they've done. But then also we want to showcase all the good things that kids are doing and adults are doing around the world. I don't know if you've heard it, but I've heard it so many times. It's like kids just don't care anymore. It's like kids certainly care anymore, but they've got a lot more to be concerned about than you and I when we were growing up. I didn't have to know how to do all the computer stuff and my smartphone and how to do my examinations through a computer and how to do all my social media with my friends. And we don't think it's the right thing for them to be doing all the time, but that's the way the reality is of their world. So let's adapt to that. But we also want to encourage them to get outside, get active, and be healthy, because we know that with the electronic age, kids are getting outside less and less, school piling on homework, but test scores are not going up. We need to give kids some time to play.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword, this technology, because on one hand, it has an impact on where kids are spending their time. There was a point in time where people were spending too much time in front of the television, and that became a concern. That's sort of been replaced with the game console, but technology's here to stay. So you've been successful at creating wonderful programs with it. You've been successful at telling your story with it, and storytelling for any nonprofit is critical. Have you worked with other nonprofits to help them get their story out with some of your collaborative partners?
I have a little bit, and I know I went through the same downturn that everybody went through in 2007, 2008, 9, and 10. Everybody said we recovered from that as a nonprofit. I didn't feel that we recovered from that. I found that society now expects us as nonprofits to collaborate, and for maybe 2 or more nonprofits to come together and share the same money that one nonprofit would have gotten before, and to deliver twice as much service to the community. So I am really embracing the opportunity to work with other nonprofits to share their message at the same time I share my message. And if we have a mutual message, to be able to collaborate and share the available funds, because the funds are still out there, but they're not giving them out the same way. And I know you and I have talked about this, that there's an expectation that nonprofits will collaborate and use the limited amount of funds to deliver twice as much as they used to.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's part of the game is to collaborate, but you can actually create a lot more impact, and
Yeah.
so I know that impact is a word that's used with almost monotonous regularity to the point where it doesn't have any meaning. But impact is making real measurable difference and real change in the lives of people, so that ultimate outcome that you talked about with people having happier, healthier lives and starting early. What if you had to sum it up in a sentence or two? What is that ultimate impact that Cowboy Ted programs deliver?
The impact is to create better citizens, healthier citizens, and families that are engaged, and people that are doing stuff in the community. And when you talk about the impact and the measurability, if we do some of these little activities before school, during school, after school, as families, we can measure, and we can measure the improvement in 8 to 12 weeks that we can see a kid start to develop, but we can definitely measure it in 6 months to a year to find that some of these kids that maybe be in the obesity range or heading towards type 1 diabetes, or kids that actually have high blood pressure right now because they're stressed all the time, we can measure that and say, with these programs, when we deliver these programs, we can see a difference in less than a year.
Yes. Well, a lot of people talk about wealth, but actually health is wealth. And part of that impact, and it cuts across a lot of things. But so, in terms of health being wealth and some other ideas along that line with the impact that your programs deliver, how do you go about defining what wealth and riches are?
I think for me, it's balanced communities that are satisfied, that feel good about themselves, where people are active and making a difference, not for just themselves, but for other people in the community. And that's why we're starting with kids, so that as these kids grow, even number 8 on our 8 rules for good health, it's do one nice thing for another person. So for me, measuring wealth is the contributions that you can give back with the limited resources that you've got. And that's what I want to do with my limited resources, but I want to encourage kids to do that, and parents and people that are employed. It's like, you don't have to spend a lot of time making a difference in the world. It only takes 15, 30 minutes at a time. Sometimes if you can give an hour a week, you can make huge impact and a difference in the overall wealth of the entire community. Maybe not your pocketbook, but it's going to relate back to you having a better quality of life and being able to enjoy yourself and do the different things. If we're getting kids out into state parks and local parks and playgrounds and nature, they're going to thrive. They're going to do better from a health perspective. It's better for their brains. It's better for their family dynamic, and they're going to be more productive as members of the human race.
Yeah, and these programs are very helpful. That's why you've garnered such a great deal of support in Utah from some of the governmental and school organizations. Tell me a little bit about why the various audiences like students and teachers and donors, what are some of the reasons that people give you for wanting to work with Cowboy Ted to grow these programs?
I think it all goes back to that mentality when some people say kids just don't care anymore. I think all of us, especially after 9/11, all of us care about our communities more and our families more and about our brothers and sisters that aren't actually in our family, but all these people that we can make an impact. So when people have asked me if they can get involved with our program, they say, I want to give some back. I want to feel that intrinsic reward of making a positive influence or difference in the life of another person. And some of them have said it's selfish. It makes them feel good, but it's a win-win because it makes these other people feel good, especially when we're going into impoverished communities that can't afford some of these programs, but we still go in and we do these different things. And then we say, how else can we help? It's like, yeah, we can introduce my 8 concepts, but how else can we help? Okay, maybe we can plant trees at their school. Maybe we can help make some contributions or find resources for them to bring in wood chips or rubber products for their playgrounds so that kids are able to get active. And we're finding the evidence is there through science, through religion, through whatever entity you want to say, that an active body and an active mind are going to be more productive. And the people that are wanting to become involved with us see that. And as you've said, I've been fairly successful in getting that going in Utah, but now we're wanting to say, hey, why not the whole world? We got video now. We be in China. Why can't we be in India? Why can't I be in Colorado sharing some of our good and receiving back from them too? Like I said, I want to host and facilitate some of the stuff, but I want contributions from everybody. And I want some of these other people to be the next person that's starring in the video and showing some people how to have fun and how to enjoy life.
Well, you see, yeah, you've got a lot of information there. And so growing your tribe would be helpful to just spread that in other places. And maybe as you're growing that, having other local celebrities in there so that they get familiar faces. You've got to
like you. I want to come and rope with Russell Dennis in Colorado. And then I want to have Russell come to Utah and show us some of the stuff that you enjoy doing, because I know you have helped me to be able to share some of this message. And you and I and Robert Casatati and several other people want to share and collaborate. And it is becoming, I think, a more common thing. And I want to learn from you. And people say they want to learn from me. It's like, good, then let's learn from each other.
Well, it's a marvelous opportunity. And one of the things that you didn't talk about was sort of the next phase, because you got programs there in Utah, and we want to get these programs spread all over the world. But you're actually looking at a series of 8 programs in your next phase to start taking the live camps and programs out to 8 other states. Talk a little bit about that and how people can get involved and support you to get that done and to get the word out on those.
Yeah, and I would love that collaboration and partnership. So we're actually looking for sponsors for our website, but they get sponsorship and name recognition and logo exposure for their business or their organization at the same time, which gives us some of the seed money to expand our video production, expand our reach to where we're in other states. I wanted to expand out of Utah and, like you said, kind of come into cowboy states. So believe it or not, there's some cowboy states that some people don't think are actually cowboy states. So I'm looking at expanding this year into 8 new states, and then maybe go another 4 or 8 states every year. And the states that I'm looking at right now, I would call traditionally cowboy states, and you're in one of them. Okay. So if we look at Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, want to look at Montana, New Mexico, South Dakota, Texas, and Wyoming are the 8 states that we want to go into this year. And through our cowboytedshow.com, we are going to have a separate page for each state. So things that are going on in that state will be specific to that state. So if somebody wants to sponsor us, they will sponsor to their state. People from other states will be able to see them, but it's more concentrated to where they're sponsoring to their state. We will showcase all the schools that we're going to in that state. We'll showcase the summer camps that are going on in that state.
Oh, excellent.
So now, instead of having one platform, we're going to have 8 different platforms. And then I had some interest from India, China, Australia, and Japan to do some cowboy stuff over there. So we're going to try and even reach out a little bit through our Cowboy Ted 101 to go internationally as well.
That's all very exciting. Wonderful, because yeah, they're in the fitness. You know, computers are taking over everywhere in the Western world. India has really, well, they've really gone all out. They hire engineers. A lot of our jobs have ended up there because they're really interested in technology. And so they're probably having some of the same trouble with getting some kids outdoors. So that's all pretty exciting stuff as far as getting people involved with you and getting them out there.
Yeah, we're trying to make it with a small contribution. So if somebody does a subscription to our Cowboy Ted Show site, it's $4.44 a month, or if they want to pay all at once, it's $40 a year. And they get access to all 8 videos that will be updated every week. If there's schools that want to use our Cowboy Ted 101 and have stuff that goes into the classroom for school investment. But when we look at it overall, you know, from my perspective, if we get 10,000 subscribers, we can expand our program. And I try to take a saying that I learned. I didn't learn it from Walt Disney himself, but I read about it. Walt Disney has a famous quote: "We don't make movies to make money. We make money so we can make more movies." So that's what I've adopted. We're not making videos to make money. We want to make some money so we can expand and make more videos and reach more kids.
Yeah. So talk about some of the ways that people can, you know, I know obviously writing the checks are important, but what are some other ways that people can support Cowboy Ted logistically and to get things done?
Yeah, we want to expand into those other states. So if people know of schools that would like to have us come and speak and help contribute to going to our school visits, all of our information is on all 3 websites: cowboytedshow.com, cowboyted101.com, and then on our main site, cowboyted.com, they can actually make donations online. They can do sponsorships on any of the pages, or they can email me and say, hey, we'd like to figure out how you can bring your programs into our program. And if there's no funding, let's figure out how we can get the funding, and let's figure out how we can do those things. I want to be on the ground visiting as many kids as I can, but I also want to know the reality that the more videos that you and I and others can make, we can make an impact without having to physically be there, so we don't have to pay the airfare and all the different things to get to a location, but we can still share the same information and receive the same information. So, and as you've mentioned, if there's nonprofits out there that have a similar mission statement or want to expand their mission statement, I want to collaborate with those groups and figure out a way. And it doesn't have to be a 50-50 split. I mean, if we can figure out some way that my program would benefit their program, and they keep 90% of it and I keep 10% of it, or they keep 90% of it and we collectively donate 10% to some other group so they can get something started. I think it's just that philosophy of paying it forward. If everybody's doing some good, it'll all come back to us, and all of that energy and vibration and frequency. I think it's always important that we give something before we ask for something.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So yes, and so yeah, I will get those links out when we get this broadcast up. We're recording it for folks that haven't been able to join us. So we will have links to each of those program pages, and so that people can go directly to some of Ted's websites where you can find a wealth of resources that are going to be helpful to children and to parents. It's helpful to everybody. A wonderful program that you have going here, Ted.
Well, thank you. We even have a fitness for mommies and kids where they can do the program. It's a free program. They get to go on there and see our PowerPoint of little exercises that moms and kids can do together, and they're just with the little hand weights, or what we use to call dumbbells, And, we want to share that all. And you know what? Next year I think it's January, February, I want to be out in Denver at the Denver Stock Show working with Russell Dennis to get kids healthy in Colorado.
Oh yeah, the stock show is pretty popular. We have people come from all over, and from the 8 states that you mentioned, people come here for the stock show. It's a very popular event, and but here a few years back, there was a little bit of talk about moving it from Denver, where it's currently held, to the city that I live in Aurora. And talk about an uproar. It's a very big event, though. A lot of people attend here, and so that would be a good place to come and talk about these programs that are try to start making them available here in the school. So we'll have to talk about a launch offline sometime here in the near future, and look at a strategy around that. So,
and my target, just so you know, my target for me personally is to go to small rural towns in every state. And you know them, you've been through small rural towns in Colorado, and those kids don't get some of the programs that the other schools that have revenue and more attendance and more curriculum and different things. So my focus, and I love going into a town of less than 10,000 people and going to a school or going to a county fair or going to a founders event and reaching out to those kids and those families that don't always get some of these perks that come along for the bigger towns.
Okay. Awesome. So looking at the year going forward, we're approaching the end of April. What's the most important thing that you want to accomplish this year?
I want to get into those other 8 states and into some other countries. And I have a lot of people say, well, school's just about out. I said, well, you know what? We've got a program that's not contingent on schools. Our Cowboy Ted show goes all through the year. And there's so many schools now that are doing summer program or year-round programs. But if a school signs up for this, they can let the kids know about it, and the kids can be using these resources all through the summer. It doesn't end when school gets out in late May or June.
There's lots of programs.
All through the summer and then gear up for the next fall. So for me, for the rest of this year, my goal for this year is just to expand our reach.
Okay. Yeah. So what's been the biggest challenge to date?
The biggest challenge is that I've kind of been a nonprofit that's a one-man show, and a board of directors that are in there by title and by name, but haven't been super active. So my transition for my nonprofit is I want to get a board of director in each of our 8 states and really expand our program and go after donations and funding to get our programs out there, and to take in-kind donations from media and others to just help us promote it.
Yeah, and I think promotion is pretty critical, because once people know what your work is, they can actually participate. That's a big challenge, is cutting through all the noise, because now you have endless online media, and you have your traditional media, cable, and so there's a lot of stuff vying for attention, and so you've got it's a very consistent looking marketing strategy. It's just getting it in front of more people. Tell me how you cut through the noise to do what you do, because to be honest, I don't think anybody's doing anything that's quite like what Cowboy Ted Foundation's doing.
Yeah, and I think part of it was having a radio background and a TV background. I first started to try to get all of our information on radio and on TV. And the gatekeepers at radio and TV, even with me having had connections and everything else, it was tough. And they're finding it tough because their revenue sources are declining as more people are switching to online information. The radio ads and TV ads and the revenue to support those TV stations, the radio stations are definitely suffering. And as you know, newspaper and magazines are almost extinct at this point now, and they're saying that radio and TV are soon going to follow that way. So we have to adapt and be to an online audience. So when I have gone out to radio and TV and others, I tell them the same thing that you've already noticed. We have a video presence that we can share with them. We can put their logo on it. It can become their content. It does not have to be my content. We can share this content. And even if it's a radio station, they all want video content to be able to compete in the market and keep an audience entertained. So that's my challenge. And that's the thing I've kind of shifted from this time, is just reaching out to everybody and saying, hey, if anybody wants our video content, you can subscribe to it, or we can partner with you. It can become part of the content on your websites, and we don't want to be super proprietary. We want everybody to be able to use this content and share it and contribute to it. Like I said, I want kids and families to be our major contributors at one point, where all I do is host and say, yeah, send your stuff.
Yeah. And so, yeah, there's some other folks that I know that are doing some things that these programs would be a good fit for. So that's a conversation you're not going to have offline a little later. But yes, there's a lot of opportunities, I think.
Yeah, I think as long as people keep having kids, we're good.
That's not going to change, I don't think.
No.
So now there's an opportunity too for people that are looking for content to have somebody that actually knows how to put it together. You've got a good understanding of the industry and how that works. So being able to get that message out there will be something that you do. And there's a lot of TV is on demand. I fired my cable company. They were insanely expensive, but there's just so many different outlets. And the challenge I had was that I was watching all of these, paying for all of these channels that I didn't watch. And so the on-demand models are starting to pop up, like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, which is a pretty big company. So maybe there's some opportunities to get some programs in there, some specific programs that people can tune into. But on demand seems to be the way to go.
And that's why we're putting ours kind of as an on-demand or an archived. They can watch it whenever they want. And we do want to partner with those other groups. And we want to make it real low price. So as people are starting to dump their cable and just picking the content that they want, that we make it affordable, that it's not going to be super expensive again. And then, we want to reach out to local channels and local outlets, and we'll come in. I'm happy to come in and film stuff with them and make the content theirs. It can be local content, and we will fine-tune and personalize all of our content so that it fits their audience.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you spending the time with me to tell my audience about what you're doing, about the Cowboy Ted Foundation. And of course, again, they can email you at ct@cowboyted.com. And that's the website for the in-home programs. The school programs can be found at cowboyted101.com. And so these are programs for schools, for families, for kids. And I'll have, you can see the information, the links are at the bottom of the screen, along with some contact information for Ted. So this is a wonderful endeavor. Look forward to seeing you here coming up next winter at the stock show. That's going to be here before you know it. So, we'll talk a little bit about that before then. Again, thanks to Ted Hallisey, Cowboy Ted. Thank you. What closing thoughts would you like to leave our audience before we sign out?
Russell, I want to thank you, especially for hosting this format. And everybody told me it was so easy to have a nonprofit. And I did not find that to be true. And some of the content that you've shared with me has allowed me to be able to make my nonprofit on the road to becoming not a one-man operation and expanding. But there's so much more to know about running a successful nonprofit. And I just want to say, you mentioned my email address. If anybody emails me, we will give them the code for a free-day preview for either of our sites so they can go in and take a look and see what our content is. Again, I want people to see what we do before we ask them for anything.
Okay. And you have an online newsletter?
We don't at this point, but we're going to start. Our Facebook feeds are going to automatically go to both of the websites within the next week. So we'll start doing updates on Facebook that will feed right into there. And as you mentioned, I'm going to have to make some of it written, but most of it's going to be video because people want to see it.
Oh, okay. Do you do Facebook Lives out of there?
I have done a few, and we'll be doing more.
Good. Okay. Well, I'll make sure to. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, I'll put in the Facebook information too, so that you can go to that page, go in there and invite your friends to come in and have a look. Thanks again, Ted. It's been a real pleasure. I look forward to talking to you again very soon. And thank you for joining me at the Nonprofit Culture Success, where we're here on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.